What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pro Football Focus here on the John Check Sports Media Network. And here today to give you my Week 4 picks. And we'll talk a little bit about Week 3 and stuff that went on as we go on with the picks. So, last week I gave my picks and I picked Pittsburgh to beat Baltimore. But that did not happen. And we'll touch on that as we go along. So let's start out with the picks right now. There is a London game. The Jets play the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins found themselves in a similar situation last year around this time. They weren't playing very good football. Joe Philbin was actually thinking about benching Ryan Tannehill. I believe they're playing the Raiders, though, in London last time this happened. And Tannehill came out, had a great game, and pretty much set the tone for the rest of the season for himself. He ended up coming out having a great season, and he looked really, really good. Well, the Dolphins are 1-2. They're not off to a great start. Tannehill hasn't looked great. The vaunted Dolphins defense hasn't looked good at all. There's been a bunch of controversy around Ndamukong Suh. He's freelancing plays, and, they're saying he's not playing as well as he did with the Lions. But I was listening to a Around the NFL podcast, and Brian Billick was making a point. Maybe I was listening to something on NFL Network. Whatever, nonetheless, it was Mike and Mike in the morning. Brian Billick was saying that actually, Ndamukong Suh is doing a good job. It's actually the defensive end's fault because Suh is drawing the double teams, but the ends aren't getting to the quarterback when Suh is drawing the double teams, so there's nothing he can do about it. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Suh was never a guy that had double-digit sacks anyways when he was at the Lions. I think he only had double-digit sacks once, and that was his rookie year. When you're getting the double teams and you're clogging the middle, you're leaving one-on-one on the outside for your defensive ends, and if they're not getting home on the pass rush, there's nothing he could do about it, because it's hard to break through those double teams when you're up the middle. So, that's a really good point. I was like, man, Brian Billick's a smart guy. If you ever want to listen to some good football talk, listen to Brian Billick. That guy is really smart. Him and Charlie Casserly, too. Two really smart football guys. Two former coaches. One's a GM, and Casserly was for the Redskins. I love listening to those two guys talk football. But I was like, wow, that's a great point. But nonetheless, the Dolphins have not looked that good. The Jets are coming off a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Eagles got up on them big quick. The Jets made it kind of close towards the end, but the Eagles pretty much held control of that game. Sam Bradford didn't. He had a better day. Really, Darren Sproles single-handedly beat the Jets to death. He had a punt return for a touchdown, and then Ryan Matthews had a touchdown. Then Sam Bradford finally had a touchdown. So that's what happened to the Jets. So the Jets are looking to rebound. Now, neutral territory in England. The Dolphins are considered the home team here. I'm going to take the Jets to beat the Dolphins. Jets have a great defense. Basically, their special teams is what screwed them over last week. I don't like the Dolphins that much. Their defense hasn't proved anything to me yet. Tannehill hasn't looked that good. So I'm going to take the Jets to have a bounce-back win over the Dolphins in London. I just like their defense more. I think Fitzpatrick bounce-backs this week. Brandon Marshall decides not to lateral the ball backwards, which he called the worst play of all time in football. I was watching around inside the NFL, and he was really embarrassed by it. So I'm going to take the Jets to beat the Dolphins. And then you get to the Ravens and Steelers game. This game, Josh Scobee, once again, screws over the Steelers. Scobee missed a couple of field goals in Week 1 against Patriots and really hurt them bad in Week 1. And in this game, he missed 2 field goals. He hits one of those field goals, the Steelers win this game. Mike Vick didn't look that bad under center. He didn't really stretch the field that much. They kind of had the kid gloves on Mike Vick, which is understandable. Short week. Didn't have a lot of time to take first snap reps with the first offense. So it was mainly handing the ball to Antonio Brown, quick short passes, playing it safe with the football. Ravens got up early, Steelers got up on them, and then basically this game comes down to the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Steelers are up by 3, 20-17, and the Steelers had a chance to pretty much cap the game because there's just over 2 minutes left, but they fail. And what I didn't get is there was a third down play, and they ran it with Le'Veon Bell. I think it was on a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, with the clock about to stop anyways. All they needed was the first down because the clock was going to stop anyways. But they didn't try to take a chance to throw the ball to Antonio Brown. I get it, Le'Veon Bell is a monster. You want to hand it off to him. But, I would have at least tried passing it once because, the defense is going to stack the box because, don't got your starter in there. It's Mike Vick. They're expecting you to run the ball with Le'Veon. Well, I figured they would at least try to throw once because the clock was going to stop anyways at the 2-minute warning, but they didn't. Ravens get the ball back. They fail. Steelers get the ball back. They fail. Ravens end up getting the ball back with like 50 seconds to go. Flacco had this awesome throw as he was getting hit. Put the Ravens in field goal range and kicked the field goal. They tie it. Going to overtime, Steelers and Ravens both fail on their first drive. Steelers get the ball back. On a third down, they elected to pass to Antonio Brown. Wasn't a bad throw, but it wasn't a great one either. Not able for Antonio Brown to catch it. Ravens get the ball back. Ended up kicking a field goal, and they win the game. A game that if just one of those field goals Scobie hits, the Steelers win. So the Ravens pretty much stole that game. So the Ravens really should be 0-4. But, that's what you get when you got Scobie as your kicker, and he's currently unemployed now because the Steelers finally cut him because he was not doing the job. So now we move on. Jags at Colts. No need to really elaborate on this game. Colts last week, they almost lost to the Titans. Mariota came out, had another good game, even though he had a couple of picks. One of those picks wasn't his fault, but they challenged the Colts. It took a nice fourth quarter comeback by the Colts and company to lose to the Titans. So the Jags are playing at the Colts. No chance the Jags win this game. The Jags got absolutely mutilated by the Patriots last week. It was like 47-7 or 41-7. It wasn't pretty. So I'm taking the Colts. Giants at Bills. Now this is a good game right here. Bills are at home, and the Giants are coming off their first win of the year. I'm going to take the Bills to beat the Giants. I like Tyrod Taylor has done a really, really nice job. So far, he's burned people with his legs. He's burned people with his arms. I like, the way LaShawn McCoy looked. I like so far how the Buffalo Bills offense looks. And surprisingly, they got the 30th ranked defense in the NFL. A team that was going to be known for the defense hasn't really had that good of a defensive showing yet, besides their Week 1 win against the Colts. Last week, the Giants, they looked a lot better against their win against the Redskins. But I'm going to take the Bills to win this game. They're at Buffalo. I like what Tyrod Taylor's done. I think this is a game where the Bills' defense starts to look more like the Bills' defense that they did against the Colts. So I'm going to take the Bills to beat the Giants. Then we got Panthers at Bucks. Jameis Winston had a really nice win over Drew Brees a couple weeks ago in the Saints. So far, the Panthers are 3-0. Cam Newton is just getting it done. He's a one-man wrecking crew. He doesn't have any, really receiving options. I think Greg Olsen is pretty much about it. He really doesn't have any good wide receivers, but he's getting it done with his legs. He's finding ways to score. And then the Panthers defense has done a nice job. They got the 7th-ranked defense minus Luke Kuechly, who's going to be out again still with concussion-like symptoms. So I'm going to take the Panthers to beat the Bucks. And the Panthers off to a great start. Cam Newton's looking really, really good. But I do like what I saw I did like what I saw out of Jameis Winston. He is looking a lot better than he did his first week against Marcus Mariota and the Titans. Let me move on to the Eagles at Redskins. Now, Eagles are coming off a win that they truly needed really, really bad against the Jets. Redskins, believe it or not, they have the second best defense based on statistics in the NFL this year. So their defense is getting the job done. But with Kirk Cousins, I don't think Deshaun Jackson's playing. They got a nice running back tandem, with Alfred Morris and what the hell is that other guy? It was Mike something. I don't know. I can't remember his name. But they've had a nice little tandem back there. But I'm gonna take. It is at Washington, and this is a hard one because both these teams I don't like at all. The Eagles' vaunted offense is the 31st offense in the NFL this year. Their defense has looked a lot better. What was supposed to be their weakest point in their defense has actually been their strong point this year because even keeping them in games. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to Kirk Cousins in this game, and I think the Redskins are going to lead for most of this game, but DeMarco Murray is going to have a good game because he's listed to play. And I think with what Sproles is able to do on special teams, and I think Sam Bradford will take care of the football enough, and I think they'll get enough of a running game out of DeMarco Murray, that Kirk Cousins is going to turn over the ball in a crucial situation, and the Eagles will capitalize on it, because the Eagles' defense has been good, and I think they'll capitalize on a bonehead play by Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Redskins. And then we got Raiders at Bears. Raiders, 2 straight wins. They're 2-1. Can you believe that? The Raiders are 2-1. Derek Carr's looked great the last couple of weeks. Amari Cooper has looked great the last couple of weeks. And I need to somehow get him in my fantasy lineup, but I just have too many good wide receivers. But 2 straight weeks in a row, Amari Cooper's been over 100 yards. I mean, he was up against Joe Hayden last week, and not an easy cornerback to have success off of. And he did. He looked really good. Derek Carr's looked really good. Latavius Murray's looked really good. Charles Woodson had a game-ending pick last week off of McCowan when he's trying to force the ball to Travis Benjamin in the last play of the game. So, I mean, they're playing really good football right now. And I like Derek Carr. And you're coming off a Bears team who they played a competitive game week 1 against the Packers, but since then have been just absolutely getting wrecked every week. So, I'm going to take the Raiders to go into Chicago and beat the Bears. The Raiders, I think, will be 3-1 by the end of this week, which is nuts to say. But the Bears are so brutally bad. Their defense isn't good. You know, they have Jimmy Clausen as their quarterback. I think even though Jay Cutler might be back this weekend. You know, basically, the only thing about the Bears that anyone should care about is you have Matt Forte as your running back in fantasy. That's about it, like I do, because their team's not good. And the Raiders, after beating the Ravens, you know, well, Amari Cooper's going to have a nice game. So, I'm going to take the Raiders to beat the Bears. Texans at Falcons. Texans finally get a win last week. But Ryan Mallett's still not good. Arian Foster might be playing. Alfred Blue had a nice week last week, finally. DeAndre Hopkins had a nice week last week, too. Texans defense looked a bit better last week. But, 2 words. Julio Jones. There's nothing more that needs to be said. This man's on pace to have over 2,300 yards this season through the air. Dude's a monster. Texans defense does not have a chance in hell in shutting this man down because he's a man on the mission. He is a stud, and I am taking the Falcons to easily take this game over the Texans. Chiefs at Bengals. Now, this is a hard one because I like what the Chiefs got wrecked by the Packers, but they played at Lambeau Field. It's hard to take a team getting destroyed at Lambeau Field seriously for the week afterwards because the Packers are a whole different entity when they play at Lambeau. They just don't lose there. They don't. That team was a juggernaut at home. They're like the Patriots at Gillette. Now, the Chiefs are a good team. I like Jamal Charles. They finally got a wide receiver touchdown to Jeremy Maclin, the first one since 2013. You gotta love Kelsey. You gotta love what their defense is doing. But the Bengals are playing very good football. Andy Dalton is not turning the ball over. Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill are both good running backs. And then A.J. Green, my goodness, did the man go off last week? He looked absolutely outstanding. So he's not even fair. So I think the Bengals at home. Andy Dalton is playing great football right now. I gotta go with the Bengals. They're just a complete team right now. Their defense is playing good. Their offense looks great. AJ Green is on another freaking planet the way he's playing. And I think the Chiefs got their hands full. The Bengals are a very good team this year, especially with Dalton not turning the ball over. I like them. Browns at Chargers. Now the Browns, I picked the Browns last week to win, but as long as Josh McCown's their quarterback, I don't trust them. I don't. I know they're not a good team regardless, but I like this team so much more with Johnny Manziel at the helm than Josh McCown. McCown is garbage. Manziel has at least showed, promise, some kind of promise that he's able to score with this team. McCown he doesn't look good. I don't like him. The Chargers, they don't look good either. Their offense, Keenan Allen's had a couple here and there weeks. What's his face? Melvin Gordon, he's looked, he's had a couple of good games so far. But Rivers, man, he was very inconsistent in the second half last year, and he's been inconsistent so far to start the year. And the Chargers defense is not good. Is not good whatsoever. But they're playing at home, and the Browns are even worse than the Chargers. So I'm going to take the Chargers to beat the Browns at home. And then you got the Packers at 49ers. Now here's an interesting stat. For as good as the Packers play at Lambeau, they're 9-9 in their last 18 road games. But here's also an interesting stat. Colin Kaepernick at one time had more interceptions than he had completions against Cardinals. They lost 47-7 to the Arizona Cardinals last weekend. First two possessions the Cardinals had, or the 49ers had last week, were both pick sixes Kaepernick threw. Kaepernick is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers defense, which everyone's like, they stopped Adrian Peterson in the first week. They look amazing. Maybe they're not as bad as we thought. No. They're as bad as we thought. The 49ers aren't good. Their defense isn't good. Carlos Hyde hasn't done anything since week 1. Colin Kaepernick is god-awful. And they're playing a Packers team that, with Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the NFL, the reigning MVP, my man had 5 touchdowns, 300-some yards last week. And you got a quarterback in Kaepernick that is just turnover crazy. I'm sorry. This is revenge for the 49ers beating the Packers 2 times in the playoffs. Because that Colin Kaepernick BS, he ain't the same Kaepernick of 2 years ago. He's garbage. Their defense is garbage. And the Packers are going to mutilate this awful 49ers team. I'm taking the Packers to easily beat the 49ers. Rams at Cardinals. Now, this was a Rams team that everyone was talking about their defense. Now, their defense has been good so far, but it hasn't been as good as a lot of people, I think, thought they would be. They're top 10 in the NFL. But I'm not impressed by their offensive side of the ball. Nick Foles has not looked that good the last couple of weeks, and their running game, now they got too many running backs. Trey Mason, Benny Cunningham, Todd Gurley's back. That whole trio of running backs is too many hands in the cookie jar. I don't like that. I only like to have a couple of running backs. When you got 3 guys that could legitimately be featured backs, I don't know. I don't like that much. And Nick Foles hasn't looked that good. The Rams offense as a whole, they're the worst offense in the NFL. They're the 32nd ranked offense. I don't like them. The Cardinals, on the other hand, that defense has been studly. And Carson Palmer is playing like a man on a mission. Larry Fitt has been outstanding to start the year. John Brown has looked amazing. CJ2K had a breakout performance last week. And that defense, my God. And they're playing at Arizona. I'm sorry, the Rams are going to be 1-3 and the Cardinals are going to be 4-0. Because the Rams are going to the Cardinals are going to steamroll them. The Cardinals are legit. And they're looking outstanding this year. They're easily top 3 team in the NFC. Looking outstanding. So I'm taking the Cardinals. Vikings at Broncos. Peyton Manning starting to look a little bit better. He had a better game against the Lions last week. Threw a couple of touchdowns. He's pretty much Peyton Manning. His accuracy and pretty much, the arm strength's still not there, and he's still not throwing beautiful balls. But something, he's pretty much throwing trust you balls. And what it means is, he's just throwing it up, having his receivers go up there and get it. It's not the most accurate passes. He doesn't got the zip to fit it in between tight spots like he used to. But here's an interesting stat for you. Peyton Manning finally completed a pass of more than 20 yards for the first time all year last week on the Lions. I think that was to Demaryius Thomas, and another one was to Emmanuel Sanders. But pretty much he's just throwing the balls up and hoping his guys come down with it. Because he doesn't have the zip, but he doesn't have the accuracy like he used to. But the Broncos offense has looked a lot better the last couple weeks now that he's running it out of the shotgun exclusively pretty much. A little bit out of the pistol as well. So they still haven't got the ground game up and going. C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman have pretty much been splitting carries, and neither one of them really has looked too impressive to this point. But Demaryius Thomas has looked really good. Emmanuel Sanders is looking really good. I think that's probably the best tandem in the NFL, Thomas and Sanders. I think that's the best wide receiver tandem there is so far. So it's pretty much Peyton Manning's been throwing it up there on him. But with that defense, they could beat anyone. They got the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, and their pass rush is outstanding. DeMarcus Ware had his way with the Lions' offensive line last week. And Von Miller's amazing, and so is Aqib Talib. They got a great defense. I like them a lot. Brandon Marshall's a really underrated player, too, on the Broncos defense. I like him a lot too. So you got a young quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater going up against a vaunted defense that really brings the pass rush, and they're the forced turnovers on you. So they're especially now they're playing in Denver. I'm gonna take the Broncos to beat the Vikings. And then you got Cowboys at Saints. Drew Brees will be back, but something, the Saints haven't won in New Orleans in the last 5 tries. The Cowboys, however, their defense, my God, is it bad? They went up 21-3 on the Falcons. Joseph Randle had 3 rushing touchdowns before the half. And then they got demolished. Tevin Coleman was hurt. I think it was Devontae Freeman come out, had an amazing game. Julio Jones had an amazing game. They came out in the second half and they destroyed the Cowboys' defense. They couldn't stop anyone. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. So, I know Drew Brees is coming off an injury and he's hurt. But I don't know if you can honestly take the Cowboys to beat the Saints. I think this is the game. This is a perfect game for Drew Brees to come back because the Cowboys defense is not that good. They're not getting to the quarterback as much as they did last year. I know the Cowboys defense is surprisingly ranked the 8th defense in the NFL, but I don't care about what the stats say. Watching that performance last week, watching how they were giving up yards, it was unbelievable. Watching how Julio Jones burned them and destroyed them, I just can't trust the Cowboys to go into New Orleans with Brandon Weeden as quarterback. Now, Brandon Weeden, I'll give him credit. He did not look that bad last week. He actually set the Cowboys franchise record for most completed passes in a row between the 2 games. So he didn't turn over the ball. He did a nice job. The Cowboys rushing attack did a good job. I mean, it's easy for him to do a good job. He got that offensive line in front of him to keep the pass rush away. But how the Cowboys have been giving up yards and points the last game, I don't know. I got to go with the Saints to take this one because I just don't trust that Cowboys defense. So I'm taking the Saints. Lions at Seahawks to cap off the week. If you're a Lions fan, you're going 0-5. You just got beat by Denver. You're going into Seattle that just got Cam Chancellor back and shut down the Bears 26. I think it was 26-0. They're in Seattle. You got a team where Matt Stafford, he loves throwing picks. Their offensive play calling by Joe Lombardi is awful. Calvin Johnson's not having a good year. Golden Tate hasn't done anything to speak of. They don't give the ball to Amir Abdullah, which I don't get. Joique Bell is terrible, but they keep giving him the ball. Their offensive line play is atrocious. That's why a little bit of it I can't blame it all on Matthew Stafford, because Stafford's getting the ball and the guys are practically in his lap as soon as he says hike. And then their defense is not nearly as good as it was last year. Their pass rush is terrible. Their cornerbacks are god awful. They're getting back what's his face DeAndre Levy this week, but that's only going to help so much. Now here's what I don't get about the Lions' offensive play call. The Steelers, they go to Antonio Brown. Everyone knows they're going to Antonio Brown. They throw it up downfield, let him jump up, use his size. They do quick slant passes, let him use his speed. You got a receiver in Calvin Johnson that's like 6'6". Matthew Stafford has attempted, I think, 4 passes all year of 20 yards or more. Under the old regime of Jim Schwartz, that's all they used to do was throw it down the field and let Calvin jump up over cornerbacks and use his size and his body and his girth. Start throwing Calvin Johnson the football. Do quick slants. Do screens. Put him in motion and hit him off of him, put him in motion. Then, while he's moving, because you got to set for at least a second or it's an illegal shift, throw him the ball real quick. Do something. Put the ball in his hands. I don't know what it is with this Joe Lombardi play calling. It's awful. It's nothing but little dink and dunk passes, constantly handing the ball off to Theo Riddick. The Lions, I think Theo Riddick has like 60 yards in 3 games. That's it. Or not Theo Riddick, but Joique Bell. Yet they got this young guy who's a great runner in Amir Abdullah, who's not getting any touches at all. And then you got Calvin Johnson, my main point. Let him go downfield and throw the ball up. Throw it up. He's huge. Put him in motion. Hit him in the slot. Do the same thing for Golden Tate. The Joe Lombardi's offense is terrible. And I'm not even a Lions fan, and this frustrates me watching their games. I don't get it. You watch guys like Julio Jones, AJ Green, Antonio Brown. Teams know where these quarterbacks are going with the football. They're going to get these guys their targets and their receptions. They stretch him down the field. They hit him in the slots. They hit him off of screens. They put the ball in the receiver's hands. But a few weeks ago, when Stafford only targeted Calvin Johnson, I think, 4 times? And he said, well, they had a safety over top. So we went with elsewhere at the football. We took what they gave us. Calvin Johnson's made a career out of beating teams that double cover him. If the Lions are going to win, they need to start forcing the ball down the field more. They need to start stretching the field. You have deep threats. You have Calvin Johnson. You have Golden Tate. You can't keep using Joique Bell. And in their offensive line, my God, it's awful. It is so bad. And their cornerbacks, Emmanuel Sanders, this is what I don't get either. Peyton Manning is throwing the ball for Emmanuel Sanders, who's like 5'11". And he's jumping over corners. I mean, he jumped over Darius Slay. And he made a great catch. But you're telling me you can't do that for Calvin Johnson? Okay. Okay, Joe Lombardi. All right, whatever you say, dude. So, not to sound like, like a mad Lions fan or nothing like that. I'm just watching this as a football fan. I don't know how people are Lions fans. I don't get it. How can you put yourself through this torture every week? I mean, I don't get it whatsoever. So, long story short, the Lions don't stand a snowflake's chance in hell in beating Seattle in Seattle this week. And they don't stand a chance in hell in beating Arizona next week either. So, I'm taking the Seahawks. The Lions score a touchdown in this game. If they score 10 points in this game, I would be honestly surprised. They don't stand a chance. So I'm taking Seattle to beat the Lions. So that's all I got for you guys this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back next Saturday to give my Week 5 picks and talk about everything that happened in Week 4 of the NFL. Hope you enjoyed the podcast here on the John Check Sports Network, and I'll see you next week.